Is coaching a total scam or key to being a happier dentist? I'm here with my good friend, Nachos sponsor, the amazing Dr. Anissa Holmes. And Anissa and I are dentists, and we are out there in the dentisting world, in person, online. And we get a lot of, I would call it, frustrated feedback on the concept of coaching. So, Anissa, tell us, what does coaching mean to you? You're a coach, you've had coaches. There's a tremendous amount of spicy conversation from, is it a scam? Is it a key to success?
Yeah.
Start us off with some of your thoughts.
Yeah. So I actually practiced for 12 years without even knowing what a coach was, right? And my business banker actually introduced me to coaching through a conference that they had. And that year, although I thought I knew everything about growing a practice, I was still struggling, right? And so that year, I had an opportunity to triple revenue in my practice because she was able to see blind spots. She knew how to grow businesses, right? And so for me, what coaching is finding someone, and it doesn't have to be like a dental coach, but a coach is somebody,
Yeah.
or a mentor is someone who already has the knowledge of what you want to learn. And they now just tell you what to do of what already works so that you can save time.
There's
Like,
there's there's two things I want to interject in because there's two
yeah,
good things. One, second, I want to talk about dental versus outside the dental world. But first, your banker, what I found is people either recommend coaching when they see someone in a lot of pain or when they see someone not realizing their full potential. And those are two very different roads, right? Someone says, "Hey, this person's in pain." They say it's their team's fault, but they every month they have a new team member. They say they can't make any money, but it's pain. And then other times someone's doing well and they say you could do even better. Tell me, what did your business banker see when they said, "Hey, Dr. Nissa, you should check out coaching"?
well, to be honest with you, in my experience, it was more of the bank understood the power of coaching and how it can help businesses
Yeah.
grow faster. And so they actually put on a conference and they hired a coaching company. I had no idea. I thought I was just going to a meeting. And the whole objective was at the end to be able to award scholarships for interested people that wanted to learn and grow to be able to get into a group coaching program. And so that's how I was introduced to it. Right.
I
But
like it. I said, why did you trust that banker? Because what I find is the person who makes magic happen is usually the person who introduces the person to the coach.
yeah.
I got a 911, I hate my practice call from a new dentist, new practice owner. I said, calm down, connect with the coach. And that person, Dr. Darcy, literally said, I changed her life. I'm
Mhm.
not her coach, Anissa. I just answered the text message. And she said, but she trusted Paul Goodman. You must have trusted this business banker. What made him a trusted resource for you?
No, absolutely. I mean, people that can deliver for you and keep their word and give you results are obviously people
Yeah.
that you trust. And, it's interesting because I actually had a call yesterday with a doctor and she's been practicing for 30 years. And she's at a season of her life where she feels frustrated because she's not sure if her practice is going to be valued at what she thought. She wanted to
Yeah.
give her practice to her daughter. Her daughter finished school and she realized that she didn't have the patience and the ability. And honestly, she just wants to leave her practice at the end of the day and be proud of what she's built. And she said, I've had coaches before. And she said, I've been watching your stuff online. I've been hearing what people are saying about you. But honestly, it hasn't always worked. And so I do want to address that because there's a lot of fear, or there's a lot of people that have had bad experiences. And what I shared with her is, for me, when I'm looking for a coach, I'm looking for a few things. Number one is, have they done the thing that I want to accomplish, right? Have they done the thing
Like that.
themselves, right? Number two is, do they have a cookbook, a framework, a system of, if you do this, a curriculum, if you will, that will ultimately always lead you to that result, right? And do they have testimonials or experience shares, or what are other
Right.
people's experiences, right? And it's also really being very vocal with the person before you make a decision to sign up, and understanding, are they able to solve your actual problem? And so when we were on the call, I was asking her, like, what's the real problem you're wanting to solve, right? Like, is it that you want more money? Or is it that you feel like they're not good systems? Is it feeling like
Right.
you're more like, what is it that, because she said her last coach didn't work. And I said, okay, well, what did that coach do? Well, she was a scheduling coach. And I'm like, well, based on what you're
Right.
saying, the real issue is that you have a culture issue. The real issue is you don't have a global ability to be able to look at your company and see week by week what's happening with your new patient numbers and your AR, how many people left without an appointment. You don't have a system of forced accountability with your team so that they can now hold themselves and you accountable to having conversations that you're using in your morning huddle. Like, that's just not what they were focused on. And so you, as we are looking for coaches, we have to do our due diligence to really have a conversation and to really identify like what problem we want to solve. Because some people come to me and they say, you know what, I'm looking for somebody to help me transition and I want to sell my practice, right? Well, that's not what I'm the best
Right.
at,
Yeah.
right? Like, and so I need to know what they want, because I may say, well, I'm not the right coach for you. Like, you need to call Paul. Like,
And
he's
what's
the one
interesting in this is I
right?
love this conversation. It's so
Yeah.
good. In dentistry, this is easy because we know you go to an endodontist for a root canal. We know you go to an oral surgeon for wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
We know you go to a periodontist for gum tissue problems. But in this world of coaching, it's not as well defined. And you made good points. I mean, I use an example a lot. You know, if your laundry was a mess, the dishes were in the sink, your kids' rooms were a mess, and you hired someone just to do the laundry, it wouldn't fix all of your problems. And if you said my coach failed me, no, you needed a broad picture organizational expert. And it sounds like, you know, it's a two-way street. So what I want to ask you next is, when you do an interview or consult, or what are you asking your potential coaching clients to determine if this fit is right?
Yeah, honestly, I just want to know what is the real problem that they're wanting
Yeah.
to solve, right? Because some people will be like, oh, I'm just trying to find out the cost. No, that's not why you're reaching out, right? There's a problem that you want to solve. Either you're not paying yourself, you're not having enough time with your kids,
Right.
your marriage is failing because you're working all the time, right? Like, you feel like your team members keep leaving and you don't know what to do. Like, what is the real problem that you want to solve, right? And then from there, then I can say, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how forced accountability can help make that happen. And so, like, for me as a coach, what I'm looking for, and one thing that we really focus on, like in our coaching, and I would imagine so many focus on as well, is how do we add in, number one, force accountability. And
Right.
I think that is a very important feature of a coaching program that's actually going to work. And so what does that mean? So when we were kids, right, our parents probably said, like, Anissa, go brush your teeth. Or like,
Right.
Paul, like every day, brush your teeth, brush. And like, we didn't want to brush our teeth. Or like, we wanted to go to bed without it. Or maybe it was our seatbelt. Put on your seatbelt, right? But because of the forced accountability, all of a sudden now as an adult, we don't think about it. Like, we just put on our seatbelt or we brush our teeth, right? Because that forced accountability actually turned something that was very healthy or important for us into a habit. And so for me, you want to build systems that actually have forced accountability. What
Yeah.
does that mean? Right. And so one of the things that, as you know, you've heard me talk about, or for example, how do we manage our morning huddle? There needs to be a forced accountability system, like a whiteboard, where we can look at our goals and every day we see, well, are we having the conversations? Or we decide we're going to do a new service, clear aligners. Well, are we not doing them? What's the issue? Is it clinical competency? Because if we're not doing any, we need to look at that first, right? Or we need to look at
I
communication,
love
right?
it.
So
I mean,
it's like
one
the
thing I'll
forced
add for you, I'll
accountability is
kind of
really
add in
important.
from one of our systems, and you can utilize this in anything, and maybe you talk about this already. One of ours for our practices, it doesn't matter if you produce $20,000 a day or 1,500. Before you leave, you must audit your day sheet. And what that means is you must go through your procedures and make sure you build out everything correctly, because we don't want to commit accidental fraud, Anissa. Or I went to courses years ago. This is scary. There's like a certain percentage of work that never gets billed out because people forget to put it in. So we make all of our dentists and hygienists initial their actual sheets. And this has saved us thousands and thousands of dollars. But just like the brushing of teeth and seatbelt, you have to just force it into a habit, or else people rush out the door and do it. So I love this whole
Yeah.
concept.
And it's not just like the services, it's also like a forced accountability that every week you have a leadership meeting where you are forcing you to hold yourself accountable to look at what happened with AR last week, or how many people left last week without a future appointment. And so as a company owner, as a business owner, as the office manager, we train office managers to be COOs of the company. They need to have a tool to be able to have a global view. I think what's also really important is that systems are incredible. But for me, as a coach, what I also want to look at is how do we empower our team? Because we can teach them systems, but the real question is like, why does it even matter? Right. And the reality is that, you know, our team members, just like us, they're going to work because they want to be able to buy a better home for their kids, right? They want to be able to put their kids in better schools. They want to be able to buy their first home like that. They want the same thing. They want to save for their retirement, right? And so if we all work together, then all of a sudden we can help each other achieve our goals. And so like, as we're talking to the teams, like I'm empowering them, like, look at what happened with my team, right? And why does it matter if we don't hit the 4 or the 8 clear aligner cases? Because if our goal was to do 8, and we're not having our conversations, or we're afraid to talk to people, then all of a sudden what happens is we do 2. And does 2 matter instead of 8? Of course, because if we did the extra 4, even if there were lab bills involved, that'd be an extra 15 or 20,000 that we have per month, per quarter. That would be, you know, $50,000-$60,000. And now if everything's paid, and we just did those extra cases. Like I asked doctors, I'm like, because we help doctors grow. You want to grow by 40 to 50%. You want to grow by 1 million. Let's reverse engineer it. Right. So if your team and you together, if they help you grow by 500,000 this year or 1 million or whatever it is, will you give some of that to them and they're like, of course, right? So that's what we do, you know?
I haven't read this book, but you know, I was part of Vistage for a while, and they talked about this book, The Flywheel Effect, or it might not be the name, but it's like where, you know, once they're getting those clear aligner cases done, it's building. But you got to get that flywheel started. As we kind of move to the next segment, I love exercise studios because they do a lot of free first classes. Orange Theory says, hey, Anissa, come for a free class, test it out and see if you like it and you want to sign up. And you do these with your boot camps. So you do these no risks, learn, get free CE, and then decide what you want to do next. Tell our audience why you do these and what they're going to get out of showing up to these totally free online boot camps.
No, it's really interesting. So these boot camps, we are teaching, and it's something that I used to do and charge $5,000 for. So doctors would come on every other week for like 4 months, and we would teach, how do you understand, how do you charge profit margins? How do you go out of network if you want to? How do you empower your team? How do you inspire them? Behavioral style assessments, case acceptance frameworks, psychology, how understand if you want to grow by 1 million, how do we reverse engineer it? The marketing strategies that's working, like all the things, right? And all of a sudden, like after COVID hit, it was 2021. And I remember talking to Sarah, who's my COO, and I'm like, why don't we just do it for free? Like that would be fun. Let's just do it for free. And it was so incredible, and the feedback. And yeah, we had people that wanted help after with implementation with coaching because they trusted us and they felt like we'd be able to give them what they were looking for to solve their problem. But what's really cool is that I had doctors that were in like a small village. They were like, I'm not in Mexico City where people make money. I'm in a small village. And like, I can't afford coaching. And so like, I love your boot camp, and they're able to learn how to, like, we have people all over the world. And so we've helped thousands of practice owners. We've helped thousands of associates who are considering being practice owners to understand the business side of dentistry. And the reality is that, like, if we want to grow faster, like we've got to learn how to run our company. You know, it's kind of like, I don't understand. Like, we go into our first day of practice. Can you imagine like prepping a filling?
You know, you should use this. And I mean, I've been on your these boot camps. You're teaching, you're learning, you're making them sweat, you're making them interact. You know, that's what I say. You go to these exercise classes, it's real exercise, and they're letting you taste test it for free. And
I think it's important because it allows you to decide, like, I want, just like you're looking to see if I'm the right fit. Like, I want to make sure that you're the right fit, right? Because I really am looking for people that are like, I'm coachable, like I want to grow, and I'm like, let's go, right? Because like, for me, that's why I'm here. That's purpose. And
nobody wants a misfit. And this is just, you know, I encourage my audience, you know, to connect with you for 2 reasons. One, people can connect with you to talk about their pain, talk about their problems, figure out which is the right one as a coach. And then also, we're going to give you guys the opportunity to sign up for a boot camp and taste test this for free. I've been on them as
Yeah.
someone who's, we do similar things. I learn something new every time. And, one of the things I think you made such a good point is even people who know what they're doing, they still need to reinforce good habits, right? Everyone needs to reinforce good habits. And that's why I learned from your boot camps. Is there anything else you want to kind of leave our community with before we wrap up to either
Yeah.
inspire them to get help, reach out, not worry about being scammed, but do your homework? The floor is yours.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reality is that the quicker we do stuff, the longer we can enjoy it, right? But I think what's really important for people to understand, and I'm so grateful that I really took on that mindset, the beginner's mindset, to know that I don't know everything. And even if think I know something, there's more to learn. But the thing that's I think is really important for people to understand is that all professionals, every single one of them, have a coach.
Yeah.
And it's the amateurs who think that they don't need one. And so I might not be your coach, right? Like you may need something else that I don't help with, right? But if you have a problem, for us, we're training teams. Like we train the office managers, the schedulers, the insurance coordinators. Like that's something that we do in addition to us working on strategy. We literally train your teams for you. But like maybe that's not going to be us, right? But find somebody and reach out. It doesn't make sense to suffer in silence.
I absolutely love that. I love what you bring to our community for free. I love how you open people's eyes to a better dental life being possible. You can text DWOW to 215-543-6454. You can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. We will connect you with the awesome Anissa. Thanks so much for sharing with us, Anissa.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.